police now investigating after a newborn was found dead at a Marietta home less than 24 hours ago. The mother, a 17-year-old girl, now under arrest, facing a slew of charges. Atlanta News First Asia Wilson is near the home where the baby was found on Grambling Street Southeast. We're going to get you out there as we catch you up on the latest stories making headlines in and around Metro Atlanta. Welcome to Atlanta News First Plus for this installment of Catch Up Quick.
I've been here 30 years, and nothing like that's happened in this neighborhood as far as I know.
Teresa Neal is still trying to wrap her mind around the scene she saw outside her window Sunday afternoon.
I kept getting up and looking out the window, and there was one or two people going through the house and scouring the house. So it's really frightening when something like that shows up.
Marietta police say they were called to the home on Grambling Street Southeast in Marietta regarding a possible death of a newborn. When they got there, they found the baby dead.
That shocks me. I mean, it really shocks me. I mean, there are a lot of children that play in the neighborhood, and it just really pains me to think that something like that's happened.
Police say the child's mother, 17-year-old Leticia Rodriguez, was arrested and taken to an area hospital for treatment. She's now facing charges, including concealing a death, abuse of a dead body, and abandonment of a dead body. While many questions still remain, people who live in this neighborhood are heartbroken.
It's just sad that something like that has shown up. And, my heart goes out to anyone who's lost children.
And taking you out across Metro Atlanta as early voting now underway in several runoff elections. First up, the at-large Atlanta City Council seat. You can now cast your ballot for 5 days before December 3rd election. Ishay Collins and Nicole Evans-Jones are running for Atlanta City Council Post 3. That position became available when Keisha Shawn Waits resigned from her post to run for Fulton County Superior Court Clerk. Also coming up, DeKalb County, several runoff elections for that county as well. We have a full link for you on AtlantaNewsFirst.com that includes resources on what you need to know when you do decide to come back to the ballot box. It's not over yet for some of those key races, and really those runoff elections typically see low turnout, so your vote matters all that much more. If you can make it out, we do encourage you to do so, and before you do, check out AtlantaNewsFirst.com for everything you need to know to be an educated voter. All right, let's talk about the trial that has everyone's attention for at least the past year. Closing arguments continuing now in the YSL trial following the departure, ultimately the sentencing of Young Thug, the rapper at the center of this trial. Now the trial moves forward, focusing around the two remaining co-defendants in this. We, of course, have been gavel to gavel on Atlanta News First Plus for you since the beginning. And right now we are really in one of the most interesting conclusions to these, the closing arguments that prosecutors and defense attorneys will make to ultimately sway the jury or attempt to sway the jury to side with them as we await the outcome of these two co-defendants and see how this trial will close. This is just shy of 2 days out from what would be the 1-year mark of the YSL trial, and it is looking a whole lot different than what we saw at the very beginning of November 2023. We want to take you out now to Atlanta News First reporter Sarah Hammond with a look at the past almost year of one of the nation's most captivating trials right here in Fulton County.
They do, and so the judge brought the jury into the courtroom around 9:30 this morning, told them the defense had nothing to present, and they moved right into closing arguments. And the prosecution spent much of the morning telling the jury what they can and cannot consider when making their decision. And before recapping the evidence presented over the last year of this trial. And the trial that once involved award-winning rapper Young Thug and several others is now down to just two defendants, DeMonte Kendrick and Shannon Stillwell. They face multiple organized crime, weapons, and drug-related charges. Many of the co-defendants took plea deals in this trial. Prosecutors have been attempting to show YSL is a criminal street gang responsible for multiple criminal offenses, But defense attorneys say YSL is not a gang, but simply the name of a record label, Young Stoner Life. And this morning, Assistant District Attorney Christian Adkins walked the jury through the numerous charges in this case and reminded them what they allege YSL is all about.
I want to talk to you about what we've learned YSL is about. And 4 words come to mind. The first word, deception, intimidation, destruction, and death. Deception of the youth who get enamored with what is presented publicly and then deceived when they become a part of the criminal enterprise.
And once the prosecution and defense both finish their closing arguments in the next day or two, the jury will then be left to make their decision in the case that they've spent the last year hearing. Live from the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
When she was on the
By the way,
stand.
that trial
Remember
currently
when I was-
underway now. As you can see, this is a live look inside of that Fulton County courtroom as, again, our attorneys are making their final push, their final arguments to jurors, and hopefully for the defense to really take into account their arguments in the remaining co-defendants, Monte Kendrick and Shannon Stillwell, and prosecutors wanting a final win, a push to prosecute these 2 last co-defendants in a trial that has not only captured Georgia's attention, but nationwide attention. I want to listen in on some of these closing remarks for you now.
Commentary. Avoiding answering questions that I ask. Clearly, Investigator Dennis was doing the same thing. He's out of here. He was sent home. Consider the manner that they testify and how much weight and credibility they really have in this matter. Think about their interest and lack of interest in the case, also known as their bias. Mr. Kokomo, would you put up Mr. Williams 70A?
So as you can see here, gavel-to-gavel coverage we're bringing you on our Atlanta News First Plus Courts and Trials channel. You can also follow along on Atlanta News First YouTube. We are going to take you through all of these closing arguments and into the verdict and ultimately sentencing right here on Atlanta News First Plus. All right, some news I want to talk about involving a popular Midtown road, something for you to know if you are getting on the road, whether you have Thanksgiving plans or it's another normal work day for you. A portion of 17th Street from Northside Drive to Howell Mill Road this morning was temporarily closed. That closure is still in effect right now. They are working on a resurfacing project, so you can expect that closure to continue until 4 p.m. and they have stated that they will reclose the road from 9 to 4 all throughout this week until it's done. So a bit of a workaround there. If you just want to find an alternate route, your GPS should be able to redirect you. And we, of course, have more information for you in the free Atlanta News First app. You know, speaking of roads and travel, today is one of the busiest days for travel. For those that are making plans to see family, friends for Thanksgiving, it is also an important time to make sure that not only are you preparing your car with all the equipment you might need for a long road trip, but you are also being extra cautious because there are going to be more drivers on the road. Now, according to travel experts, for those traveling by car, that is going to be your cheapest option to get home or to visit family this Thanksgiving. Georgia officials want to make sure that you are getting there safely, so Georgia State Patrol and AAA are joining forces to echo an important message that is, click it, don't risk it. Put your seatbelt on is really the message that they're driving home. Make sure you are paying attention on the road. Don't drive distracted. The Governor's Office of Highway Safety is asking everyone to join the campaign as more than 2 million Georgians are expected to be on the road just this week alone. So an extra time to just pause, make sure you have extra supplies in your car for whatever you might run into, but also that you are paying attention to the road, driving a little slower, a little more cautiously, and being mindful of the other folks that are just trying to get home to see some family. Thank you for joining us on Atlanta News First Plus for another installment of Catch Up Quick. The news never stops for us, and we will keep you updated on all of the breaking and developing stories that are happening in our community. You can download the Atlanta News First app so we can send updates and push notifications directly to your phone, and you won't miss a thing.